Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sportcat's Daily Gazette. I'm sure a few of you noticed that we were a few minutes late, and that's because I was live on Yerg's Radio. You can follow us live on Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio. We are also live on Radio X. I want to thank Yerg's and Rainbow Radio, as well as Radio X, for allowing us to tickle your ears. If you'd like to come over and see that this guy only has a face for radio, come over to YouTube and find me under the para or normal, 3 words, and then we spell guys with a Z. So come over, join our chat. We've already got a few of our regulars in here. Hello, Wendell. Hello, Chris. Welcome. Glad to have you guys here. I know some other people are tuning in soon. So, and I wanted to, a couple things off the top. Somebody sent me some news articles to report on. Unfortunately, I can't report on them through a Facebook story. I'd like to, and I know they were good stories because I looked them up, but I just can't. I didn't have time to find a YouTube, or not a YouTube, a source for it. And Wendell said, I had a guy. He had a guy. Wait a minute. I had a government black SUV across from my house today. Oh, Wendell, they're watching you. Have you been talking to Brenda? Goodness gracious. So, well, Wendell, hopefully they're not going to catch you. So, wait a minute. What have you done, Wendell? Maybe I need to ask that. Maybe I need to be reporting on you. What have you done, Wendell? Is there something I need to know about? So, all right. Well, we're going to jump in. We're going to be light on news today because I'm not sure if anybody knows it or not, but the Pope died. And, well, that's kind of the news story of the day. So we got a couple little silly things. And also want everybody to remember all of the articles and stories I reference are just that, reference. I want you to go do your own homework. And yes, I will sometimes, a lot of times, say my own opinion, but that is just that, my opinion. You need to do your homework, do your due diligence, find out where you stand on the issues and what makes you tick as far as stories. So that's important to note because not every reporter is true and factual, myself included. There are sometimes that there are fallacies in there that you need to explore, and that's what I encourage everybody to do, is explore. And if I say something wrong, educate me. If I can learn something from you, let's do it. All right, so with that being said, I am on National Calendar Day because, well, I like to start off with a little bit of good stuff. National Rendering Day is today, and I had to look at that because I wasn't sure what National Rendering Day is, but apparently it's the celebration of bringing awareness to reducing and eliminating food waste, and they call that rendering. I did not know that. So there you go. Let's see here. Who is this? Strong and Short Soul. Welcome. You're mowing today. Oh, well, hopefully I'm tickling your ears while you're doing it. Oh, Wendell, I've been checked out before, but we'll leave it at that for this site. So today is National Rendering Day. It's one of the many days it is, and they want us to have safe and nutritious food, safe and nutritious pet food, but to remember to reduce food waste, and that we also save landfill space that way. So that's good. We're glad to hear that. It's also, let me go back here. There's several days today. National Yellow Bat Day. Now, I thought this was Batman. But it isn't. It is not. National Yellow Bat Day today, April 21st, honors National Yellow Bats. All right. Well, what is a National Yellow Bat? Well, on this day in 1867, the Army activated the 265th Army Security Agency Company airborne within the 101st at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And the official insignia of the 265th is a bat with its outstretched wing on a full moon, rising with the motto, "Through the Night Below." Symbolically, the bat represents mystery and secrecy due to its nocturnal nature. The bat fittingly describes the intelligence support provided by the Army Security Agency Battalion. So before deploying, the personnel paint all their vehicles and equipment with a yellow bat. The symbol made the equipment clearly visible from a distance and aided in identifying unit equipment. We do that in the fire service. We do it with colors, though. We do like gang signs. So on the 19th of every year, on the 19th of the same year, they deployed to Vietnam with the 265th Radio Research Company to provide intelligence support to the 101st Airborne, arriving a few weeks ahead of the Viet Cong Tet offensive. So they soon learned of the North Vietnamese campaign. However, few commanders would believe the intelligence. So how can you observe it? Well, take some time to learn more about the Vietnam War and those who served. Thank a veteran. Read about the Tet Offensive, about the 265th, the Sentinel and the Shooter by Douglas Bonnet, the Tet Offensive 1968 battle story by Andrew Rawson, and of course, honor those who served time during the Vietnam War. Take time to go over to the Vietnam Memorial if you're in Washington, D.C., and volunteer for Veterans Day. Or veterans activities and organizations. So, bye-bye. Let's see. So, let's see. We'll go back to this because we got other days to cover here. So, as I was telling Ross when we went off the air, it is National Chocolate Covered Cashew Day. Yummy. So, go get you some chocolate covered cashews, but don't waste any of them. Eat every one of them. So, personally, my favorite is chocolate covered peanuts, but all right. So, how can we observe it? Well, a handful of chocolate covered cashews, and they're great party snacks, trail snacks. You can share your favorite recipe that brings chocolate covered cashews. So that's a good idea. And you can share it with me, sportcat at protonmail.com. Because in case you didn't know it, my mom is a baker and she would love to make me fatter by giving me some more. We had Rice Krispie chocolate chip cookies, which was actually pretty good. So, all right, National Kindergarten Day is also today. Each year on the 21st is National Kindergarten Day, and it honors the birthday of the man who started the first kindergarten, Frederick Wilhelm August Froebel. April 21st, 1782 to June 21st, 1852. He's credited for starting the very first kindergarten in Germany in 1837. He was a German teacher and a student of Johann Pestalozzi. Froebel laid a foundation for modern education, recognizing that children learn through play and experience. That's the way I still learn. So how to observe National Kindergarten Day? Well, some areas of the country, school is still in, so go recognize an outstanding kindergarten teacher. Explore a career in education. Yes, we need more teachers. Learn more about elementary education. Donate to Children's Supply Fund. And if your school is out and you can't get to thank one of your teachers, I know they always appreciate if you buy school supplies and leave them for them. So, and invite families to see how today's students learn, except for new math. Don't learn new math. So it started in April 21st of 1782, but we're unable to identify the founder of National Kindergarten Day. So, all right, there is that. We'll start that. I also saw that it was National Pilot Selfie Day, but I couldn't. Somebody find something more on that. Let me know. I couldn't find any more data on it. Let me get over to Chris here because let me get in the chat here because I see Chris and some other people made some comments. And Chris said the Pope looked awful yesterday. I wonder if it was his callers, handlers to have him appear. Well, it was an official visit. So let's see. Who else do we have here? It looks like that's pretty much it. Rex, whoever Rex is, welcome. Chris says, I observe National Kindergarten Day on a regular basis with my immature behavior. Me too. And you got a puppy too, so you can play ball with the puppy. All right, this was breaking news out of Texas. Bobby J. Mitchell, a Denton County commissioner for Precinct 3, and her husband, Fred Mitchell, were found about 4 a.m. local in 1000 block of Springwood Drive. And one of them was stabbed and is in critical condition. The other is deceased. A Denton County commissioner was wounded and her husband was killed early Monday morning after police say they were stabbed by their grandson in the Louisville home. They responded shortly before 4 a.m. to reports of an assault in progress at the home. Police found Bobby J. Mitchell, the Denton County commissioner, and her husband, Fred Mitchell, with apparent stab wounds. Bobby Mitchell, 76, and Fred Mitchell, 75, were taken to the hospital where she was deemed stable. Okay, it's changed since it first came out. She was in critical condition. However, unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries. The suspect have identified the couple's grandson, 23-year-old Mitchell Blake Reinecker, was still at the home when officers arrived and taken into custody without incident. He was booked into the Louisville jail, where he faces charges of murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The investigation is ongoing. It is not clear what led to the attack. In addition to her current county position, she's also former Louisville City Council member and was the city's first black mayor in 1993. She held office until her resignation in January 2000 to run for the commissioner's court. This news will leave a profound impact on our community, the police spokesman said. The city of Louisville stands united in rejecting violence, remains committed to justice, peace, and the safety of all those who live and serve here. Following the announcement from the departments, the community poured into community support. Good Lord, community support poured into social media. So that was breaking news as we were coming on. All right, so I'm gonna do this story to be fair. Let's see. Do you know wrestler Randy Stewart has a radio station in Texas? No, but I'd like to meet him because we could certainly talk. All right, so JFK's grandson Jack Schlossberg. This is coming to us from the let me go back up here and see where it's at. The Irish Star. I didn't see this in any other local mainstream media. JFK's grandson Jack Schlossberger says J.D. Vance killed the Pope in explosive post. All right, so this is coming to us from a reporter in Ireland by the name of Jerry Hassel, and this is his report. President John F. Kennedy's grandson Jack Schlossberg claimed on X Monday morning that the vice president, J.D. Vance, killed the Pope in a particularly I pronounce this word, facetious message slamming the U.S. second in command. Okay, JD, this is a quote from his X, or his tweet, his whatever you call it. Okay, JD killed the Pope, he penned in his official account. His message comes among Antichrist trending on the social media platform, with thousands of other users calling Vance the Antichrist after an awkward meeting between him and the Pope on Easter Sunday. The post came hours after Pope Francis was pronounced dead at age 88, ending his 12-year stint as the head of the Roman Catholic Church. Vance met with the Pope early on Easter Sunday, just about a day before he died. The meeting came amid their ongoing feud, which began when the Pope condemned the Trump administration's crackdown administration. Vance, who is a Catholic convert, spent Easter weekend in Rome with his family attending Good Friday services at St. Peter's Basile. After meeting with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni several hours after the pontiff's death, Vance penned a lengthy, somewhat odd message honoring Francis as he referenced an address the Pope gave during the days of the COVID pandemic. This is a quote from J.D. Vance. I just learned of the passing of Pope Francis. My heart goes out to the millions of Christians all over the world who loved him, he began. He then commented on the late pontiff's health during the meeting. I was happy to see him yesterday, though he was obviously very ill. He went on to say he'll remember the Pope for the homily. I'll have to look that word. Homily, it's got to be a speech he gave in the early days of COVID. It was really quite beautiful. May God rest his soul. And then we'll bring you the latest updates, pictures, and breaking news as they happen. That's from the Irish Star. And I'm pretty sure that he wasn't being serious, but with these young kids, you can never tell. All right, so to be fair, let's go to the other side. Tim Walz's daughter says Trump would have deported Jesus and claimed he was part of MS-13. So I'm being fair. I'm giving a story on each side here. The 24-year-old daughter of Minnesota Democrat governor and failed VP candidate Tim Walz released a TikTok in which she claimed that if Jesus Christ lived in the United States, the Trump administration would deport him and claim he was part of a deadly gang. Waltz appeared to be making reference to the 29-year-old Kilmar Abrigo Garcia, an illegal alien who was deported to El Salvador and is suspected of being a gang member of the violent MS-13 gang. Democrats have sought Garcia to be back in the U.S., claiming he has been denied his due process. This is a quote from her TikTok. If Jesus were alive today and in the United States, this administration would already have taken him and removed him from this country without due process, claimed he was a member of MS-13 gang as a way to try and justify not giving him due process, as if there was any justifiable reason not to give somebody due process, she declared. Some people don't want to talk about that, she continued. It is truly baffling how clear and laid out everything is, and there is still, that's not proper English, is still people standing by it. I believe the good people, and I like humanity. Humans, deep down at our core, like we care about each other, but that's really being tested, because how anyone is okay with this is terrifying to me. But yeah, if you look like me, speak up, speak out, because we might be the only ones safe from what is coming, and some of the only people that are able to stop it. And that was her tweet. Or no, I'm sorry, her TikTok. The Department of Homeland Security said it has evidence that he was involved in a gang in MS-13. We're not going to go over all that. But anyhow, so to be fair, I gave one side on each story. One did a TikTok and one did an X, and silly children. So, all right. So as we have talked about, the Pope has passed away. He died some 90 minutes. Pope Francis died some 90 minutes after he was awoken by his alarm clock. This morning, Italian media reports the pontiff, who died at age 88 at the St. Martha residence in the Vatican, passed away peacefully, according to doctors. He reportedly woke up when his alarm went off at 6 a.m., fell ill at 7, and died from a stroke. This is according to the release from the Vatican. Died from a stroke at around 7:30 a.m., according to the, and I'm probably going to butcher this, Corriere del Sera. Still, the exact surroundings of his death, no, go away, are uncertain. How do I get rid of that? I don't know. All right, there we go. Still, the exact surroundings of death are uncertain. It is understood he did not succumb to the recent bout of double pneumonia. He had been hospitalized earlier this year. So apparently they're saying that he had a stroke. He had a cerebral hemorrhage, which is a stroke, and it was unrelated to his respiratory problems and pneumonia that he had in February. So then they go in to say his body will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica for 3 days, and then he will be buried in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome. His body could lie in state as soon as Wednesday, according to the Vatican PR. So, all right, well, that was that's the news story of the day. He's trending, Jesus Christ is trending, and Satan is trending. I don't know. I don't make this stuff up. So, let's see. Chris says, I keep my head in the sand about who really killed my I keep my head in the sand about who really killed my grandfather and focus on making claims about deceased persons with whom I have no association. Yeah. Wendell says, I just shared your show with him and told him you wanted to talk to him and have not heard anything. Well, tell him to come over, join the chat, come to the show. We have this show. We have the Wednesday night pair, our normal guys. This week, we're interviewing two great comic book artists and authors on some ET and some scary stuff, mostly UFO stuff. So, and then tonight we have the girls. We have my girl Shay and my girl Amanda. They are doing Monday Night Horror. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. That starts tonight at 8 p.m. If you can tune in to the Para Our Normal Guys on YouTube, you can watch it live. And we also will be playing it live on Jurg's Radio and Rainbow Radio if you're listening over there. All right, so I'm not going to cover this in depth because, well, you can pretty much get this everywhere. But Pope Francis, papacy, his ends, and he was one of the 10 most recent popes. How long the 10 most recent popes reigned? Good Lord. And I've had my caffeine today. And this goes to show that the longest, which is the one that I remember starting, was John Paul. Then we had Benedict and Francis. He was here 12 years, 42 days. But John Paul was the third longest with 26 years, 175 days. Prior to that was Pius from 1939 to 1958, which 19 years and 225 days. And then we go back to further, and we see the next longest one was from 1922 to 1939, way before me. So they will be starting the selection, I believe, as early as this weekend, I believe. So, well, here, let's see. Here's how, this is from Axios. Here's how the Catholic Church will choose a new pope. The papal conclave explained 15, 20 days after the Pope's death or resignation, the College of Cardinals enters the Sistine Chapel to elect a new pope. All cardinals under the age of 80 are eligible to participate. The papal conclave will be sealed off and access to the outside will be restricted. The cardinals vote by secret ballot. There is one vote held on the first day and up to 4 votes on every subsequent day. 2/3 vote is usually required to declare a new pope. Twice folded ballots are placed in one of the 3 urns. Immediately following the ballots, they are burned in a stove, and the color of smoke indicates to onlookers the results of the vote. Black smoke is inconclusive. White smoke means they have a candidate selected. The new pope accepts his nomination. The senior cardinal declares habeas papam, we have a pope, and the new pope delivers his first blessing from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. White smoke will soon rise up from the Sistine Chapel chimney, signaling a new era in leadership of the Catholic Church. But first, there must be prayers, meetings, and a highly secretive conclave. So that will be starting soon, and I'm sure that the media will be watching, because I remember this only happened, I guess, twice in my life, and I remember that was the thing. They just kind of stood or had a camera just watching the chimney. So there'll be a camera on that 24/7 from the time they go in. So, and the member of College of Cardinals, currently there are 53 people from Europe, 23 from Asia, 23 from North America, 18 from South America, 18 from Africa, and 3 from Oceania. So those are the pool, according to the Vatican press office. And if you want to see this story, you can go over to Axios, and then by clicking on the little blue, green, or red buttons, you can see details about each person that is eligible. And so that will be something to follow for the next couple days. So there you go. All right, I'm not going to cover this in great deal either, but this comes to us from our friends at Zero Hedge. Garcia has been moved to a lower security detention facility and given his own room, according to the State Department. Kilmar Garcia, an illegal immigrant who was deported to El Salvador by the Trump administration, has been transferred to the country's maximum security prison from the maximum security prison to a detention facility where he has his own room, according to an April 20th court filing by the U.S. State Department. Okay, and then it goes on to give his history, but he's been moved from maximum security to he now has his own room, according to the State Department. In this article, you can go read the entire history over on Zero Hedge, but that's coming to us from them. And also from Zero Hedge, we get another news story today. Bush-era swamp creature revealed to be a key figure in the Oklahoma City bombing cover-up. Now, I remember that the Oklahoma City bombing, but I don't remember a cover-up. So I have always, this is from our friends at Zero Hedge. The author is Tyler Durden, and he is quoting, "I have always said the only difference between the KGB and the FBI is that the KGB has never claimed to be a legitimate law enforcement agency." And this is a quote from Jesse Trendu. I don't know who he is. And readers may know the name John Ashcroft, the Attorney General under George Bush. Well, good old Ashcroft was at the heart of a high-profile cover-up of the Oklahoma City bombing, according to Attorney Jesse Trendu. The following comes from a court filing provided to Zero Hedge by Trendu attorney to Oklahoma City bombing accomplice Terry Nichols. Okay, for context, per Jesse, and it gives a site you can go to, he is the brother of Kenneth Michael Trendu, who died in August 1995 while incarcerated at the Federal State Center in Oklahoma City following the death. The Department of Justice immediately deemed it suicide, denied the medical examiner access to the cell where he was being held, ordered the cell cleaned and painted, and repeatedly asked both the ME and his family to authorize the cremation of the body. The medical examiner could not legally authorize cremation, and the family refused, demanding that his body be returned to them. When his body was returned to the family, they removed heavy makeup and discovered bruises all over his body from head to foot. The bruises, cuts, and other wounds depicted after an obvious beating and murder. Now, this is according to them. And while serving his sentence, he attempted to spark an investigation in the FBI involvement of Oklahoma City. He sent a letter that could provide such information that went all the way to the top, the head of the DOJ, Ashcroft. He did not respond to the letter, but immediately forbade the media from speaking to Nicholas, which resulted in 60 Minutes canceling a sit-down interview they had scheduled with Nichols. Shortly thereafter, he received a visit from a man presenting an offer from the DOJ to undo Nichols' death sentence if he agreed to 3 conditions. Take ownership of the anonymous warning the DOJ received, saying the Murrow City bombing was going to be bombed 30 minutes before it was. Implicate Nichols, his own brother, in the bombing, and reveal the location of the kind stick, an explosive used in the bombing. Nichols mentioned having knowledge of an unused stash in his letter to Ashcroft. The existence of a remaining stash was not known at the time, and the existence of the mysterious call was independently corroborated by Stephen Jones' book, Other Unknowns, and covered by ABC News. Interesting. I never knew any of this. So it was discovered that the DOJ proxy, Michael Selby, who visited Nichols, had previously worked in Ashcroft's private security detail and helped others further corroborate this meeting took place by telling Zero Hedge. After the declaration was filed, Selby called me upset as hell, said I had just gone and effing killed him. The attorney who brought Selby in to meet Nichols is Rodney Uphoff, a law professor at the University of Missouri. I called Uphoff and he confirmed the event. It's strange such an offer giving leniency to an accomplice to one of the most horrific domestic terrorist attacks in U.S. history would be presented by someone who does not work at the DOJ and stipulate that Nichols take credit for an anonymous tip, which he did not make. He ultimately did not accept the deal because he didn't want to throw his brother under a bus. And the party is now official records thanks to Trenton Doe, serving as an interesting looking into true conspiracies that Ashcroft may have had a hand on. To see the full spectrum of events that Jesse Trenton Doe has brought and he's fought the government hard to release, you can follow his website in honor of his brother and find out that he believes he was murdered by the FBI. Go to www.KennethTrentondu.com. So interesting. I didn't know any of that. So that comes to us from Zero Hedge, and that's very interesting. All right. What do we got next here? I saw this headline, and it's also from Zero Hedge, and this one to me, I didn't quite understand, so I wanted to share it. This also comes from Tyler Durden from Zero Hedge. While many are still wondering about whether or not the audit of Fort Knox is happening, it doesn't seem like President Trump doubts the country's holding. With gold surging through $3,420 an ounce for the first time ever this morning, many are pointing back to one of President Trump's Truth Social posts from yesterday. Trump wrote on Easter, "The golden rule of negotiating and success. He who has the gold makes the rules. Thank you." If you recall, in early 2025, Trump and Musk publicly questioned whether Fort Knox still holds its gold reserve. He announced plans to visit the site, while Musk suggested a live stream inspection, saying maybe it's there, maybe it's not. Well, it's got to be there. Where else would it go? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent then responded by citing a 2024 audit confirming the presence of 147.3, that's a lot, million ounces of gold with no major withdrawals in years. He added the senators can request a tour through his office. Meanwhile, we've laid out a number of reasons we think gold is surging. And it goes on, if you're an investor and interested in precious metals, you can read the rest of this article. So that's interesting. He who makes the gold makes the rules. Sometimes he speaks some weird language. And also something I haven't really found a whole lot of data on it, but supposedly someone in his administration said that if you can control time and space, which he said the United States can, you can control anything. I would like to know more on that because I'm into the conspiracy stuff. So, but I can't find any hard and fast evidence on it. And there's a couple YouTubers, I won't name their names, but they have taken off with it. And good Lord, they get quite a few views, but I don't know, not me. So, which reminds me, everybody on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button, like us. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell. That's why I play a little music before the show so that everybody gets the notification. They come over and they watch and subscribe. Even if you're listening on Rainbow Radio, Radio X in Australia, or Yerg's Radio, please come over to YouTube. We really could use the support to the paranormal guys and subscribe. We really could use it. So, all right, this story was also breaking this morning. A Democratic judge resigns after harboring alleged Tren de Aragua gang member. A New Mexico Democrat judge harbored an alleged keyword Tren de Aragua gang member in his home, where the illegal immigrant was arrested 28 February. Magistrate Judge Jose Joel Cano announced his resignation on March 3rd, the same day that Christian Ortega Lopez, 23, who has alleged ties to the Tren de Aragua gang in Venezuela, appeared before a judge on charges of being an unlawful alien in possession of firearms and ammunition. He was accused of illegal entry of the United States near Eagle Pass. He spent 3 days in Border Patrol custody before he was released because of overcrowded facilities at the Border Patrol's South Laredo, Texas processing center. According to the court records, the Albuquerque Journal reported he met Cano's wife, Nancy, in El Paso, where he was working as a construction worker and a handyman, and she offered him to stay in a small house behind hers. The pool boy. According to prosecutors, April Cano, the Cano's daughter, who owned a home near her parents, possessed a large number of firearms that allowed him to hold and sometimes shoot various firearms. She allowed him to hold it. All right, I'm being silly. Cano, a former police officer. Okay, so April Cano was a former police officer, and she allowed Ortega Lopez to file a request for immigration relief using the judge's residential address. Court exhibits also posted on social media posts of the foreign national posing with Judge Breitbart reported, adding, social media posts obtained by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New Mexico show Ortega Lopez and other illegal aliens at a shooting range. They appeared to be in possession of multiple firearms and a large quantity of handguns and rifle ammunition. The photos and videos showed Ortega Lopez displaying Tren de Aragua tattoos. Other images from Ortega Lopez's cell phone obtained by Breitbart showed graphic images of multiple decapitated and mutilated bodies. Breitbart noticed last month Trump issued a proclamation regarding Tren de Aragua. We know what that is. That is a terrorist organization. So if you want to read this article, go over to Daily Wire, and I'm going to do a little deep dive because I'm curious how a police officer would do that. But all right, so we'll jump to our next story. And this one, well, it catches both administrations. Sensitive documents were made available to entire agency under Biden and Trump. Government officials improperly uploaded sensitive documents to Google Drive during former President Biden's term into President Trump's second administration, the Washington Post reported on Sunday, and Axios can confirm. And this story comes to us from Axios, and it's reporting from both Axios and the Washington Post. Why it matters, the GSA, the Office of Inspector General, recently learned during an ongoing audit about the uploading of what mostly unclassified but confidential information that was all accessible to GSA staff, per a source familiar with the matter. It's unlikely any documents were classified, but the source said it couldn't be ruled out. And it suggests a pattern of sloppily handing of sensitive information that spans both the Trump and Biden administrations, according to Post reporting, Washington Post. And the special counsel reported last year found Biden kept classified documents at his home in Delaware, and no charges were filed. And Trump was facing criminal charges over classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, but a federal judge dismissed the case. So, interesting. So, apparently, our government uses Google Drive. Who knew? 9 of the 15 files shared in the Google Drive folder were marked CUI, controlled unclassified information, which refers to sensitive information that does not meet the criteria for classification but still be protected. So both administrations have been using Google Drive. Interesting. And I was reading that the government is actually going after Google to break it up because they feel like it's gotten too big for its britches. So, but yet they use, okay, I don't know. This article comes to us from The Hill. It's referenced Christy Nome, her purse containing her access badge and $3,000 in cash, good Lord, were stolen at a DC restaurant. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Christy Nome's purse containing $3,000 in cash and her DHS access badge were stolen Sunday night at a restaurant in downtown Washington, an official confirmed to News Nation. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told News Nation's Allie Bradley that Nome was eating dinner when a thief stole the purse, which also contained her passport, her driver's license, blank checks, and her keys. She explained that McLaughlin explained to Bradley that Nome was celebrating Easter with her family, so she had those items with her. She had the case because her whole family was in town, including children and grandchildren, and was treating them to activities at dinner and Easter. And they were talking about Easter gifts too. CNN first reported this and noted that the thief who stole Nome's medication and makeup bag was seen on a security camera. It was a white male wearing a medical mask, and he stole her bag and left the restaurant. And that's interesting. So it's being reported by CNN, The Hill, Washington Post, and I think Axios, but this is from The Hill. So it does not. I'm sorry, Chris. It does not. I looked, but it does not. I apologize. She was probably upset because money was stolen. Well, not just money, everything was stolen. So from there, we don't have a lot of big news, but we do have something out of the UK that NATO's ally has invisible weapons to take down swarms of drones. It's the very first time. British soldiers have successfully trialed a new radio frequency detected energy weapon. Okay, we're going to have a government acronym here, RFDEW. I prefer mine Mountain Dew, MTDEW. And it's designed to take out incoming attacks involving large numbers of drones, the UK government has said. And the world has watched as a rapid pace of drone development quickly came to define the war in Ukraine, changing how modern militaries would fight wars going forward. So, yeah, they now have a weapon, and it's an invisible radio wave weapon, and it knocks out swarms of drones. It's been tested, and I believe it knocked out 119 on the very first time, and it can operate up to a half mile or over up to 1 kilometer away. So interesting. So, and prior to this, they were limited because of weather conditions and topography, but apparently this new weapon doesn't have that problem. So there you go. Our technology is getting ahead. And let's see, we're not going to get into that. If we get back to it, a funeral director explains what it's like working with the dead. That gets more into the paranormal. And if we get back to it, we'll talk about Hulk Hogan's Real American beer will be distributed by Walmart. So if we get a chance, we can get back to it. We'll talk about that. But we may not get a chance because we got a lot of stuff to go over today. So let's hop right in. For those of you that are new here or listening for the first time, we do a show. We're not a prepper show. We're not a prepper. How do I want to word this? Basically, you can watch any of those prepper shows and they will tell you why we're going to die today. So far, I've been watching them for a while and, well, we're still here and I'm still reporting. So I like to have my show as, well, this is why we didn't die. The grown-ups are in charge. And I cover a little bit of news because Jurgs and I banter back and forth about things. And I prefer a little bit more lighthearted look at the news. So we go over some things that are topical and sometimes some funny things like Satan trending. Still haven't found a news article to support why, but Satan was trending on X. All right, so what we do is I give you a daily report or a daily operations briefing, similar to what the president would receive. Of course, we don't have the secret squirrel stuff. If anybody wants to send me secret squirrel stuff, Wendell has a guy in a black van across the street. Just give it to him, and he'll bring it to me. It's a joke, Wendell. Don't go out and talk to the guy in the black Suburban. If you do want to, by chance, email me, you can email at sportcat@protonmail.com. All right, so we're going to jump into the FEMA daily briefing. He says, Wendell says, I wonder if his beer is any better than Billy's. I was too young for Billy beer. I never got to try Billy beer. Was it really that bad, Wendell? It was before I was 21, because I was right at that age where when I was about to turn 18, they changed the drinking age to 21. I was pissed. So, yeah, so I didn't get to try Billy beer. So let me know what you think, Wendell. I will probably try it just because it's a thing. I'll probably try it and do a video about how bad it is. So, all right. Well, it may surprise me. It may be really good. Who knows? I prefer a hoppier beer like Dogfish Head. But anyhow, so we're going to carry on. The daily operations briefing. This is from FEMA. This is the declassified stuff, not the secret mojo stuff. This is dated 8:30 a.m., 21 April. And of course, it is Monday. So they are reporting no new significant incidents or ongoing operations. And they're still going to be monitoring elevated critical fire weather in the Central Plains. Man, it is everywhere. Let me tell you, the Northeast had fires, the South had fires. We'll get into that later, but man. And they're still monitoring. The only event is the Boston Marathon. I have not followed that to see the outcome. So rain and thunderstorms pretty much across the top of the country, with the exception of Montana, Idaho, and Washington. In the higher elevations, you can expect some mixed precipitation. And then that little band is going to stretch from down around Texas, the tip of Texas down there in the Gulf of America, all the way up into Nova Scotia, where we stand a chance of rain and thunderstorms. Doesn't appear today that any will be serious, but tomorrow we'll talk about here in a second. We're going to get into Tornado Alley, where there could be some severe weather. And then pretty much most of the country on Wednesday will see some type of precipitation. The fire weather, well, it's elevated today in many places, but it's at its peak worst right now just east of the Four Corners region, at the top of Texas, Oklahoma, going up into New Mexico, almost all the way up into Nebraska. That's the area they're going to watch today. And talking about high temperatures today, they're going to be above normal in the south. And if you are anywhere outside of that belt, it'll be a little bit warmer, but pretty much most of the country is going to be experiencing normal to near normal, except for the Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico border. And 6 to 10 day precipitation, pretty much everybody's going to get a little bit of rain. So we'll talk about wildfires. There's several new ones. It was just really a bad day for a bad weekend for fires. Wendell said the SUV. Wendell, did you go out and take a picture of it? You don't have a set if you didn't go out and take a picture of it. FEMA's common operating procedure. They are still doing 10 direct housing missions, 20 support missions, and 6 recovery. So, and you can go check out the FEMA daily report and get all the stats, data, and figures there. But that's the crux of it. We'll jump over. The next thing we usually talk about is the president, the commander-in-chief, his daily schedule. And today, it's, of course, a 9 a.m. in-camera, in-pool press time, is always a normal thing. At 10:30 a.m., the president and first lady participated in a White House Easter egg roll, and only pre-credentialed media can participate. Oh, Wendell. Well, send me a picture, Wendell. I want to see what you got. So, yeah. And over the weekend, he had no public events scheduled, and apparently he was in town. He didn't leave town, so he was in Washington all weekend. After the Easter egg roll, there will be no scheduled events for the president, so he'll probably be in the Oval Office doing something important. I don't know. Whatever presidents do. All right, so we'll hit the National Weather Service daily briefing, and pretty much like we talked about, the upper elevations of Montana, Wyoming are going to see some mixed precipitation, but rain thunderstorm is going to continue pretty much across the top of the country up into New England and the south down into Texas. So there is nothing in the long range for Atlantic or Pacific. As far as tropical storms are hurricanes. And so that's good news. What else do we have down here? Severe weather outlook. Today, there is no real severe weather outlook. It's going to be some heavy soaking rains in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, parts of Tennessee, extending up into Kentucky, West Virginia, and out through there. So that's some heavy rains for today. The fire weather, as we talked about, they're concerned about it being mainly in the Midwest, but everywhere should be concerned because over the weekend, holy cow, I was hearing about brush fires breaking out everywhere. So, yeah, it was a long day for firefighters in the South and in the Northeast. Let's see. So that's pretty much, look at the 24-hour map here, with the heaviest rain being Alabama, pretty much along the Appalachia from Mississippi, really from Louisiana up to the tip of Tennessee. But rain's going to continue from Chesapeake Bay down until Texas and the Gulf of America. And that snow will be in the higher elevations still for the next 24 hours. And let's see, what else here? We don't need to go past 24 because I'll be here with you. So, all right, so let's look at the radar. We can see right now that most of the rain is in Canada. There's some precipitation in the higher elevations of Montana, but most of that is currently across the top of the border north of us. But there is a band extending down from the Ohio Valley through the Allegheny Mountains into the Appalachian Mountains into Tennessee, extending all the way down to where it's at its most intense, down below south of Houston. We'll look at that here in just a minute, but that is an intense storm down there off of the shore of Houston. So that is that. Let's see here. No, we don't have anything for this one. All right, we look at our big, beautiful globe here. This is the cloud cover. This is if you're listening on the radio, this is from NOAA, the real-time world from space, and it shows our cloud cover. And we were talking about those storms. That's pretty much where most of the cloud coverage for today of the United States, pretty much central part of the country, is cloud-free. We'll look at the wind pattern here in a minute. And let's go down under and see. Well, it's going to be a cloudy, overcast day in Australia for all of our Australian family and friends down there. All right, let's go to our next screen here. This is, and I'm going to refresh it. Oh, what do we have there? Chris, what do we got? All right, this is from Weather Warning, WX Warn. And it is you can go to that site. I do not get anything from the site, I think that they're one of the best sites for showing you up-to-date warnings across the country. And we'll start off with, yes, Chris, Andy has sent out another text message in Montgomery County, Maryland. There's a flood advisory in Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, and then down off the coast, Louisiana, some small craft advisories, special weather statement in Ohio, in the Ohio Valley. What are they calling for? Doppler radar says strong thunderstorms will extend from Shelby, and it will extend north-northeast with hazardous wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour and pea-sized hail. Man, I saw some hailstorms over the weekend on X that were breaking people's windows and coming into the kitchen, and it was horrible. So there was, of course, some tornadic activity over the weekend too, some after dark. So we have flooding in Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri tonight, this afternoon, tonight, and Texas. In Illinois, you will have some flood warnings later today. That's pretty. Flood warnings is the main thing right now. Kentucky, Missouri, Illinois, they're all under flood warnings because of the potential for heavy rain. And there was a new statement that just came out. This is from our friends up in Alaska. And this is a band of rain snow showers is stretching across the Yukon Delta to St. Lawrence Island and up to the southern Seaward Peninsula throughout tonight. Showers are expected to be messy rain-snow mix, especially in the Yukon Delta and lower Yukon Valley, where the mix will be more rain than snow. Snow becomes more dominant for areas from Shakatulkik north. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. The showers will be less frequently there, keeping accumulations light. Higher snow accumulations of 1 to 3 inches in the Nolato Hills, where much of the precipitation will fall as snow. 2 to 3 inches are expected overnight for St. Lawrence Island, where showers that are mostly snow will last into Tuesday night. Are those islands, do people live on those islands? I know some of those islands, there's nobody on them, but all right. So that's the main thing. We see that the heaviest rain now is pretty much in the Ohio Valley, but later today, it's going to be extending. All right, let's look at down under, our friends in Australia, and see what's going on down there. We look at the satellite, and we see that the tropical storm has kind of brushed the northern coast, and it looks like it's staying out to sea, which is a good thing. And it looks like it's a cloudy day through much of Australia. Well, semi-cloudy day, more through the central. And let's look at radar here. And it looks like really the only significant rains are along the coast. It doesn't look like any of the precipitation is going to be significant, except maybe up at the tip there where the cyclone is brushing the northern coast. And it'll be pretty windy today, but it looks like it'll be a nice gusty day. Temperatures today for Australia, well, we're going to use Fahrenheit. I'm sorry, guys and gals. Along the northwestern coast, Darwin down to Port Hedland, it's going to be in the high to low 80s. And further south of that on the coastline, it's going to be in the 70s. Pretty much central Australia is going to be relatively cool in the 50s and 60s. And then the southern and eastern coast, your temperatures there will be in the moderate 70s to 60s. All right. Wendell says, I have his pictures and his logos. Okay. I'll go look at it in a bit, Wendell. And let's see. That's a tropical low. There's a percentage of a low forming and off of the Cocos, Keeling Islands. It's west of that. Wonder, we'll keep an eye on that. Temperatures currently in the U.S., currently, it feels pretty dang hot here in Knoxville. It's in the 70s in Tennessee. Memphis high of 72. Charlotte 80. Atlanta 80. Down in Alabama, it's in the 70s. Lower Alabama in the 80s. Up around Vermont, it is in the 60s. And up in Toronto, Buffalo area, it's in the 40s. If you go over to Seattle, another cool spot. Seattle has always got cooler weather. Portland is 52. Medford, Oregon, Grants Pass, 54. Reno, 59. The hottest part of the country today, of course, will be Texas, with the hottest being in Odessa, Texas right now, 76. Dallas, you're close at 74. But it looks like that little cold front is pushing down through Canada with a warm low extending throughout much of the center of the country and eastward. So, and that one is going, the last low is going off of the coast of Charlotte here in Atlanta. Well, from Charlotte in Atlanta later this afternoon. Good Lord, if I could talk. Satellite, as we talked about, that little low is trying to push down from Canada with that front stalling out in the center, keeping a nice dry area. And that's why they're really concerned with the high fire index. So look at radar. And currently, as we talked about down in Houston, Wendell says it's 85 where he is at. It's hot, Wendell. All right, currently down in Houston is where the most activity is currently, but that band does stretch from the tip of Texas and the Gulf of America pretty much through the heartland, coming up through Mississippi, Huntsville. It's about to hit us here in Knoxville and West Virginia, Pittsburgh, up along the Allegheny Mountains and out through Toronto. And that is expected to continue to advance northeast throughout the day and intensify. But the highest rainfall populations are going to be into the Kentucky-Tennessee border, or the land between the lakes, and down in Mississippi, where the highest precipitations in the U.S. are expected today. Wind, well, we'll look at a bigger wind picture here, but currently winds are coming up off of the Gulf, going up through the center of the country, merging with another little small low. That's what's causing that dry section in the middle of the country, with that little cold front trying to push through to the west as well as the other one wanting to work its way off the East Coast, but the energy is being pulled from the Gulf up into the Atlantic. So we covered temperatures, humidity. It's 200 degrees here. We see, if you look at the humidity, right now in the center of the country is where it's most humid, but that dry air behind it is where that fire concern is. So it's sticky. It's the South. It's getting that time of year. So welcome to the South. All right, we're looking at a recent wind map. Let's update this. This is for the United States, but I got a bigger one here I'll show you in just a minute. One of our favorites. The current top speed wind is 29.7. And it looks like that would probably, once again, it's usually up around Denver. So most of the country is experiencing winds going from the west to the east until they meet the Rockies, where it extends northward, but it kind of crosses over a bit in Chicago, where it goes up through the Ohio Valley and out from winds pulling up from the Gulf of America and off of the Atlantic seaboard. All right, let's look at lightning. Where is it lightning right now the most? Welcome back, Columbus. Yes. For no apparent reason, Chris, for no apparent reason. All right, so we'll zoom in down here. Houston, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Victoria, McAllen. You're in the crosshairs right now. Lots of activity off of the coast coming inward. It's a nasty, sloppy, stormy mess. Please be weather aware. Keep your eyes on the sky. But right now, that is the section of the country that's just getting hammered by lightning. The most electrical activity in the strongest portions of that storm. So keep your eyes on that if you're in South Texas, Southeast Texas. That line does extend across, but the energy really hasn't made it past Huntsville. So we see it trying to go north-northeast, but it really hasn't extended energy-wise past Huntsville. There's a cell just to the west of Huntsville, Decatur, that's got some significant energy to it. So keep an eye on that as well. We'll jump from that. We'll go over to see current weather map. I brought this up just to show. This is the GEMA weather map. And I bring this up just to show you where all the current watches and warnings are. Currently, the red flag and fire warnings are in the center of the country. Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, that area. There's some wind advisories over in Idaho Falls. And if you're off of the western seaboard, Portland, you've got a frost advisory in effect. And all right, some gale warnings off of the California coast. We jump down here to Texas. We don't have any tornado warnings, but we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings coming off of the coast in Texas. So keep your eye on that. There's no tornadic activity yet, but there are some severe thunderstorm warnings down there, especially if you're in the areas of Bay City and I can't read that out. Magnolia Beach. That area is the area getting the most significant rains at this time. And we do see that band, but most of the energy, as we talked about, past Huntsville's where it's at its strongest. It is still trying to be a stormy, sloppy day up in Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia, Morgantown, West Virginia, extending up into Pittsburgh, up into Buffalo area and out. But that is going to continue to pick up energy as it goes across the South. So keep eyes on that. Be weather aware. I always tell everybody, please make sure you have a couple things. You want a weather radio so you know what's going on. You want to have a flashlight. They're small enough now where you can, the little guys are like that big. I'm going to say that nobody on the radio can see, but the size of a 9-volt battery. They're tiny nowadays. Nobody has an excuse not to have a flashlight tucked somewhere, and they're usually recharged with USBs. So yeah, get you a flashlight. I'm going to do a unboxing video of one of the most popular ones, and that's coming soon. I'll have to get home because it's going to be delivered there. So we'll have an unboxing on it. We see there's an air quality alert, and this is probably due to wildfire activity. This is on the west side of the Appalachia. So we'll take a better look at this, but the National Weather Service has sent out 2 air quality alerts around Asheville, North Carolina. We'll look at that in a minute. Other than that, we get up into oh, well, that's just the test message. Why does it even show up on this one? I didn't know it showed up on this one, Chris. Wow. All right, so there's the test message. Why do we have a test message here? It works. In Georgia, we get it. In Tennessee, we get it. Chris gets it in Indiana and Illinois. But Howard County, Montgomery, sent out another test message. I don't understand that. I just don't understand. So I don't understand. There's some gale warnings out off of the Great Lakes there to keep your eye on, with wind advisory extending across the center of Michigan. I don't understand the test message. I don't get it. Every day there's a test message. It's not like we know you're there. Stop. All right, we'll look at power outages. Right now, Texas is got 11,828. And West Virginia, they have 14,000. Let's take a better look at Texas. Oh, I was surprised. I figured that along the coast would be where the most is, but it's in Baylor County is where there's 315, and there's 179 in Briscoe, and Dimmitt, there's 330. Okay, I would have assumed that there was more than that. So, okay. All right, well, it looks like Pennsylvania, you're growing because that storm in Bedford County and Fulton County and Indiana County, it looks like you're growing with your power outages. And West Virginia, looks like, Wetzel County, 655, almost 10,000 in Mongolia, Preston County, 1,154, and up in the little teeny top there, Morgan, it looks like you got about 1,000 people without power, so. Also, there was trending, it was talking about Reddit was down. I don't use Reddit that often, so I didn't notice it. But at any rate, so across the country, there's a total of 82,462 houses without electricity. And that comes to us from poweroutages.us, and it's pretty accurate and up to date. All right, I got a little treat for you when we do this here in a minute. So, no, not that button. The next thing we talk about is the air quality. And the air quality can be affected by many things: pollutants, smoke, many things, and just ozone level. Anything can affect the air quality. If we look, pretty much most of the Appalachia from Pittsburgh south, and then we get down into the lower Mississippi Valley, down towards New Orleans, your air quality is moderate. It's not the greatest, it's not the best, it's not the worst, but it's definitely not very good for you. So pretty much all of West Virginia, part of Kentucky, East Tennessee over to the Appalachian Mountains where it breaks, but on the east side of the mountains, it picks back up and goes almost over to the coast. All of Georgia, your air quality pretty poor today, as well as Florida. Your air quality is not very good there. The center of the country, it looks like Kansas to Lincoln over to Topeka. Your air quality is not very good there. And on the west coast, it's spotty along the northern coast, but the southern coast is, well, pretty poor quality all the way down and crosses into Phoenix, Tucson, El Paso down there. And this does not show me the air quality anywhere else in the world, but I have something interesting coming up here. Let's just bring it up. All right, Chris, we've got something new here. This is a new mesmerizing AI map. And this shows AI wind. It shows the winds, and it shows the pollutants, and it shows the direction of travel of the pollutants. If I'd stay away from that button. So if we zoom back in, pretty much about in America, we look at the poor air quality. It also shows us the fires that are burning, and you can bring up information about the different fires. So this shows you the winds, it shows you the fires, it shows you the smoke, and it also shows you the pollutants. So Wendell says, so can Taco Bell. Yeah, it can cause an air pollutant. So yeah, you can look at this. Oh, well, Chris, it gets better. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, and we can see worst quality air right now over Algeria, and over into Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kandahar, way down into Dubai. All of that air quality is horrible. That could be from dust storms. That could be from many things. We go down to Australia and look. We see Australia has several fires, but your air quality, with the exception of Melbourne and Sydney, is pretty decent. So, but Chris, if you thought that was cool, not only do I see the fires and the winds, wait for this. Wait for it, Chris. Wait for it. Boom. Look at that. Look at that. I've got it in a big, beautiful, perfect round globe. So for those of you on the radio and listening, for us tickling your ears, we're at IQ Air Quality, and we have a map that you can put up into real time. It's assisted with AI, and it shows us not only the winds, which is one of our favorite maps, still our favorite maps, but this shows us our air quality, and you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can move it around, and you can see where things are. And one thing we're going to talk about this as the summer goes on. If you see over here, you notice that wind coming off, and I'm pointing. For the radio audience, I'm pointing to the western section of Africa. We see how the winds come off of there. Well, during the tropical season, those winds extend in, and they pick up dust, and that comes around and gets caught up into our winds and will come up through the Gulf of America, and sometimes giving us some dust storms. Not really dust storms, but dusty winds. So yeah, we'll be watching that, because that's going to be intriguing. I've always wanted to see this map, and I finally searched out and found that it existed over the weekend. So let's go down into it. We see pretty much just north of the equator, all the way around the globe, is where the worst air quality is. I don't know if it's saying anything about people that live on this side of the equator or not. If we jump down into Australia, we look and see pretty much, besides for down along your coast in Melbourne there, winds are pretty good. Your air quality is pretty good. Yeah, so it's pretty much north of the equator. I don't know if this says something about the northern hemisphere or not, that we're the most pollutants or not, but yeah, if you look around here on look over here, let's just zoom in on Asia, and we see that China, Beijing, it's horrible air quality days there. Hong Kong's not too great, but then you jump back over to the west of there and you get into the Baltic regions. It's not very good there. Down, of course, in the middle of the Kabul, Pakistan, Middle East, it's not very good there, and it extends westward over into Africa, and the air quality isn't very good there, all the way up through almost Nigeria. Well, it does through Nigeria, so yeah. Yes, Chris, you're correct, but I like the big, beautiful round globe. So until she comes over, we will have this. But this is a colorful map because it shows you the winds, it shows you the pollutants in their path that they're traveling, and it's pretty impressive. But yes, Chris, for other people that don't believe in a round Earth, we can flatten it out and make it a flat Earth. So, so if you believe in a flat Earth, that is the weather for the wind and pollutant forecast for the flat Earth. Once again, mostly still north of the equator. South America, it's bad, but it's not as bad as north of the equator. So, all right, let's jump out of this map. We had a little bit of fun with it. And I wish I could find a better map for the classic allergy maps. This is brought to us from the Weather Channel. Pretty much if you go outside in the South, you're going to die. So the tree pollen, pretty much from the Chesapeake Bay down through the Appalachians, going all the way up to the Gulf of America, extending west, is horrible right about now. So the tree pollen will kick your butt. It's in its worst, probably Kentucky, Kansas, over in that way. I would argue that it's horrible here too. Grass pollen map, pretty much the same. Yes, I do have a ad blocker. Pretty much the same, except it's worse, more severe down in Texas, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, extending into Florida. It's not as bad here in East Tennessee, but it's still not very good. Let's see. Where's my other one that we look at? The breathing index map for the U.S. Well, right now, if you're on this side of the Appalachian, as I'm pointing to it, the west side of the Appalachian, it's kind of poor. On the east side, it's kind of horrible if you're in the south. And then pretty much it's not too bad across the country from there. And let's see, where is the other map I like to show? This one, the aches and pains map, which I don't understand, but it says that the worst aches and pains are in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, up in Maine, up in there. So that's where the worst aches and pains are for today. Along the Appalachia Valley, there are some, but they don't appear to extend down into the actual valleys. So, all right. Next thing we'll talk about is our fires that are currently going on in the United States. And man, did the weekend give us some more ones. So we still have all the prescribed burns down in Florida and Texas, all of those, but the South, holy cow, it just exploded. Still burning over in the Carolinas. We have a new one that's formed on the west side of the Appalachia in East Tennessee. And it's, well, let's see. It's burning 2,043 acres and is not combined or controlled yet. So that was the one. But small brush fires were all up and down the coast the other day. I looked at this and it was crazy up and down the coast with that last storm that come through. Up in Colorado, you have multiple prescribed burns. Down in Mexico, multiple prescribed burns. It's good to see the prescribed burns. So, but let's jump to this next map, because this comes to us where NASA and the U.S. Forestry team up, and it can show you a little bit more precise. I like this because the little red dots indicate fires that have been seen by satellite and detected or have been called into someone, but they don't have boots on the ground. And we see that new fire on the west side of the Appalachia, Morgan Brock, 119 acres so far, but it's only about, no, it's 0% contained. So, all right, so it's one to keep it on because it's going to be windy. They're still working on the ones on the eastern side of the Appalachia to try and contain them, but they have had some problems that have really hampered it. So, let's see, is this a prescribed burn? Yeah, this is down along Frolano Road at the Georgia-Alabama line. Looks like 154 acres are burning. So these little red dots indicate fires that haven't been 100% confirmed. Look up here in Chicago. Look at all those fires. There's going to be little tiny rubbish and brush fires probably, if I had to guess. Down, if you get down further into Indiana, Illinois, there's very few. Over in the Tennessee Valley, we have one here in East Tennessee. And I'm still going with that Sharps Ridge. They still have had some problems getting to it. They're pretty much going to let it burn out. Let's see, Wendell down by you. You've got a couple, but doesn't appear to be anything serious. Down a little bit into lower Alabama, Sawmill Road, which is northwest of Mobile. 305 acres are currently burning. And we see the red flag warning over in Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado, and that area there. So that is your fire maps for today. And many of these fires are prescribed except for along the Atlantic seaboard on the Atlantic side and on the east side of the Appalachia, with the exception of the one in East Tennessee. All right. This is pretty much, I'm going to call this our old map because it shows where all the fires are and the smoke. And we can see the fires, how they're burning, how much they're contained, blah, blah, blah. The lighter colored ones are out. The other ones are newly reported ones. Trail Hollow, it's reported 75 acres, 80% contained. That's over on the east side of the Appalachia. But we look at the smoke map on this one. This is not as good as the other smoke map, but it shows pretty much all of this coming down into the Gulf of America, crossing over down along Panama, Nicaragua. Wendell says he's directly he's due west of Atlanta. All right, well, let's due west of Atlanta. So due west of Atlanta, Bud Holmes Road fire, Wendell. That's was reported, but it's now contained, and I don't know how far in, but Crumby Road, 100% contained, and Frelona Road. What is this one here? Fire detected. So Wendell, there's a fire detected due west of Alabama or Atlanta. I don't know where this is. It's between Birmingham and Talladega. So there's a fire detected there. And Equip Wolf Road and Wolf Pond Road is 99% contained over there. That's Talladega Forest. So it looks like Talladega does some prescribed burns. That was not a prescribed burn, though. Oh, what is this one up here? Table Rock. Let's see, 13,210 acres. It's 91% contained. They're really working really hard over on the east side of the mountains to get those fires contained, but it's been hard with the winds and the remote locations. So they're having some times over there. We still see some significant fires along eastern seaboard. Let me scroll down here. Oh, 2 miles west of Myrtle Beach, reported fire. I can't. Why are you giving me such a hard time? I guess I have to bring it up. Affected wildfire, 2 miles. It's 90% contained of almost 2,100 square acres burned. There's a lot of fires burning in the U.S. right now, if you look at the bigger picture. So, all right, that's something to keep our eye on. This is a new smoke map I found. I'll bounce back and forth between. Wendell says I need to learn to read a map. Well, Wendell, without telling me exactly where you are, I see you're west of Atlanta. I know that you're to the left side. So I got that. So I need to learn to read a map. Good Lord, Wendell. This is, we'll call this, this is a newer smoke map that we looking at, but I like the other one to be more succinct because it shows the direction of travel. But we can see here that most of it is to the southwest in the Gulf of America, covering Mexico, is where most of the smoke today is. And you can see the fires they have. You can see a stark difference between the ones until you start zooming in and see. All right, Wendell, there's Atlanta. West of that is Birmingham. So I don't know if you're between Birmingham and Atlanta. So somewhere in there. There's some fires in that area. In Talladega National Forest. You can't click on it, but that's Talladega National Forest, Sand Mountain. I don't know what mountain that is, but another one. So you can find this at Fire and Smoke Map on fireairnow.gov if you would like to pull it up. So, no, Wendell, I didn't know you were at Anniston. I thought you were up further north towards Bobby for some reason. So, okay, now I know. All right. Wendell, here's your favorite, Chris's favorite. It's the big blue, beautiful, round globe. And we talk about this and we say we all need to get a big plasma screen TV and just have it setting on it with some ambient music, and we can watch the airflow on the big, beautiful blue globe. I like this one because it doesn't show all the bad stuff. This is probably my favorite, and I think it's the fan favorite. For those of you that are listening on Radio X in Australia, and for Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio, we are looking at the winds that AI is showing what it would look like on the big, beautiful blue globe. All right. Let's take a look down under and see what the winds look like. I like this one because you can see what's going on in Antarctica. On the other one, it's a big black hole where there's nothing there. So I like that. Let's see. In Australia, yeah, like we talked about, it's going to be a gusty but relatively good day. We could change this if we wanted to. We could change this to the currents and see what the water's doing, how the currents are flowing. Still just as beautiful. I think I like the wind better, though. let's look. All right, so there's how your currents are flowing. You see that warm water is still trying to get up into the Gulf. It's not there yet. Not there yet. We look at the waves, and we can see the wave patterns on the big, beautiful round globe. How do I make that go away? Click there. There we go. That's the waves currently coming in high tide on the eastern seaboard and down in the Gulf of America. High tide's coming in, I should say. That's what I need, a fishing map. Wendell, find me a fishing map that has this. That would be awesome. There's the wave flow on the other side of the world. And it looks like the tides are coming in to the south side of Australia, and they're going out on the north side. All right. Space weather. We'll take a quick look at it and see what the aurora forecast is. There was no significant space weather noted in the FEMA briefing, so it looks like nothing more than the normal aurora. And we see that it's going to pretty much be, well, most of Canada this evening, and it's not going to extend down into the continental United States. Yes, the people on the radio do need to come over, Wendell, and watch, because there's a lot of graphics here, and sometimes it's hard to describe how beautiful they are, like this one of the aurora. So everybody that's on Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, Radio X in Australia, please come over and help us out. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. And if you don't like me per se, I do have two beautiful women coming on tonight at 8 o'clock. They have a great show where they're talking about horror. They've got a horror show tonight, and it's going to be a disco horror. I'm kind of concerned that they're going to want me to play disco music. So that's right. Chris says if people like and subscribe, they can get notifications for the horror show tonight. And that's what we want. My girls want to get as many people coming over and watching them. For those of you who don't know, Cheyenne, she is in public safety. She is a beautiful young lady. She is the co-host. Amanda, the other young lady, is a retired professional wrestler by the name of Siren, and she can look at you. She's beautiful, but she'll whoop your ass. So you can come check them out tonight. Make sure we will also be live on Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio if you only can listen at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the United States. And we're going to be live on the Pair Our Normal Guys channel where you can check out my beautiful ladies. So, Chris, you almost got me in trouble there. I almost said my big, beautiful ladies. So, all right. So we'll jump into a little bit, starting into more of the news out of the weather stuff. Real quick, measles cases. This was updated as of Friday. Total number of cases in the United States, 800. So most of those are from the ages of 20 and below. So make sure to check with your doctor if you can, get your immunization, because that's important. And I think there have been 2 confirmed deaths and 1 under investigation. So the measles cases have risen over the past few weeks up to 800. We're hoping with the current weather that it'll start bringing that down, but it is important to go get immunized if your doctor says you should. So, Arthur, what's cracking? Well, Arthur, we're talking about measles at the moment, and I hope you don't have the measles, but let's hop over we'll start into our news, and we'll get into our event list. I'll go back a little bit because no, not that button. Over the weekend, we had some things happen and we didn't quite cover them. Did I hit a button? Yeah, I hit a button, didn't I? No? Yes? No? Maybe? I can't tell. Did I hit a button? Sportcat buy? No, I'm not going to buy any viewers. Arthur, this is how it works. You come over to YouTube. I know you're on Twitch, and I appreciate you being there, but Arthur, you need to come to YouTube, and all those people you're telling that I should buy, you need to promote me for free, Arthur, and get them over here to subscribe, to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Unfortunately, Arthur, I fear that you can't understand me, that your language is different than mine. So hopefully you can translate it to come over to YouTube and subscribe to the Pair Our Normal Guys, and guys is spelled with a Z. So make sure to come over and check us out. All right, Arthur, spread that word on Twitch for me. I would really appreciate it. So, All right, so we'll go back to animal attacks. Oh, I got something cool if we get time on that. Israel on the 21st, that is today, a swimmer bitten by a shark off the coast. He's gone missing. United Kingdom, over the weekend, a young child was injured in a horrifying dog attack. Pakistan, more than 80 peacocks have died because of a mysterious illness. Oh no. In Hungary, foot and mouth disease is growing, and it's spreading to thousands of cattle, and they are culling them tonight. All right. Epidemic in Mexico. We're still talking about the measles up in up in Washington State. There was 3 people that have a known variant of foot and hoof. It's a foot and, what do we just call it up here? Foot and mouth disease, but it's akin to that. And I believe it was in Oregon. But there was only like 3 people, so they're still investigating it. Uganda, there's been a measles outbreak. Critical infrastructure, well, Haiti is always there. I didn't check on Puerto Rico's power and see how it was today. South Africa, Johannesburg, they're having water maintenance, and so there's going to be some problems with your water. Look at social incidents. Look at Sudan. There's heavy gunfire over the weekend. And of course, in Yemen with the Houthis, we know all about that. Armenia, they had nonstop shots at a village for about 1 hour overnight. Okay. And then over the weekend, Nigeria, armed herders attack 2 Benue LGs, kill family of 8 and 9 others. Okay. Congo, 9 peacekeepers were injured. UN peacekeepers were injured. No, it's an old story. Disregard. Public safety. Ireland. Oh, this is new. Police attacked with petrol, I'm assuming it's gas bombs or Molotov cocktails, and fireworks after dissident Republican parade in Derry. Chile. Gunmen have attacked a Chinese-owned power plant site. That's not good. Yes, I do, Wendell. I do. Let's see. Suspects dies by suicide during SWAT standoff in Texas. And 2 injured in a shooting at a Norfolk State campus. That was yesterday. I heard about it. They kept the campus on lockdown for a brief period of time. Germany, a gunman kills 2 over the weekend. In Chad, more than 100 inmates make a deadly prison break. Chad in Africa. Sri Lanka, over the weekend, a gunman fires at a church ahead of the Easter bombings anniversary. And in Ecuador, over the weekend, 11 people were killed, 9 injured in an armed attack at a cockfighting event. I did actually see a story on that, but I didn't cover it. We do know about the Ukrainian war in the Middle East. We don't really talk about that because that's not what this channel does. We've talked about the fires. Pretty much United States, there's been several fires. There was a fire in a Delta plane at a Florida airport earlier today. That's new. I didn't see that one. Let's pull that one up real quick. A Delta Airlines airplane caught fire before it was supposed to take off in Central Florida, forcing evacuations of passengers. A Delta Airlines airplane caught fire on Monday before it was supposed to take off at a Central Florida airport, forcing the evacuation of passengers. Airport officials says there are no injuries during the fire on the plane at the Orlando International Airway. Delta said in a statement that the fire broke out in the engine on Flight 1213 while the plane was at the ramp before a scheduled departure. All right. All the passengers were evacuated, and the airport rescue firefighting team, otherwise known as ARF, responded and extinguished the blaze on the Airbus A330. Had 282 customers, 10 flight attendants, 2 pilots. No injuries. Everybody evacuated safely in a nice, calmly manners. And flames came out of the tailpipe of one of the aircrafts, and that's what caught the fire. Okay. Good to know. That was in Orlando. All right. What else do we have here? Australia, fire erupts at a Greek restaurant in Yarraville, Melbourne, for a second time this year. South Korea, 1 killed, 11 injured in suspected arson at the South Korean capital. Japan, 35 people were taken to the hospital after a house fire in Japan's Osaka region over the weekend. Fire breaks out in Canada on the grounds of a steel plant northeast of Montreal. In Malaysia, firefighters dodged collapsing wall while battling a house blaze in Dungan. In the UK, 75 firefighters battled a huge fire in a factory over the weekend. And in the United States, flames destroy a Queen's Church on Holy Saturday. That was a big fire. I saw some of that on the FDNY's webpage. That was a very large fire. Israel, hundreds evacuated after a hotel in North Israel catches fire. That was over the weekend. Of course, we talk about outdoor fires. In Japan, 4.0 earthquake. We'll get into the earthquakes here in a minute. Philippines, 4.5. One in the Pacific Ocean, 4.5. Turkey, 2 4.0s. 5.1 in South Georgia, Antarctica. Volcanic eruption, Kilauea, erupted over yesterday, and so did the Spur volcano. And then over the weekend, the Great Sitcom volcano. Wendell, where's the Great Sitcom volcano? Do you know? I don't know, so we're going to look it up. Lava continues to erupt in the center of the Great Sitcom volcano. Small earthquakes continue at a low rate. Satellite and webcam images were obscured by clouds over the past day, but eruptions continue. Where is that, Wendell? Let's zoom out and see. I'm going to bet you that's in the Alaskan Islands. How about that? So there you go, Wendell. Volcano erupted in Alaska. Wendell says, it seems I remember the plane in the news before. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one, so that one was new to me. All right, so flooding in Indonesia kills 3, and industrial in India, at least 4 dead, several feared trapped as a building collapsed in Delhi over the weekend. 5 dead after the roof collapse. That was also in Delhi. And let's see, other events. The Baltic Sea, the Royal Air Force intercepted Russian jets defending NATO airspace over the weekend. Yeah, they didn't cover this, but they also came into Alaska over the weekend. Canadian company recalls frozen pastries because of salmonella. Well, let's look at that because everybody likes a frozen pastry. Let's bring that article up and see what kind of frozen pastry it was. Sweet Cream brand and DFT brand of frozen pastries, including the lobster tail and chocolate varieties, are being recalled in Canada because of contamination with salmonella. 1 person has died. All right. The Canadian Food Inspection Company says that if you have pastries from Alberta, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, Ontario, Quebec, and possibly other provinces and territories, you can check and see if they are in this recall. All right. Patients were spread evenly across 7 states in the United States: California, Illinois, Massachusetts, North Carolina, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, the Northeast. And it was linked to the same outbreak in Canada over many pastries. All right, well, don't eat pastries from Canada right now, especially ones that from the Sweet Cream brand. All right, so when this is the volcanoes in Washington State. When they just showed it was in the Alaskan Islands. Hold on, I'll back up. I'll show you. Hold on. The Sitcom one, is that the one you're talking about? Or the Spur? Are we talking about the Spur or the Sitcom? The Spur is, where's the Spur? Spur is also in Alaska. It's west of Anchorage. And the Sitcom, the Sitcom volcano, that is also in the Alaskan Islands, almost to Canada. So yeah, it's not Washington. Those 2 are Alaska. So, all right, where do we leave off here? 4 dead. We covered that. 4 dead as United States. 4 dead as aircraft plummets into a field in a horror incident in the United States. Well, I don't know anything about that. That occurred over the weekend. Let's see if we can see that. All passengers on board a small plane die in Illinois after it crashed. 4 people have died after a plane crashed into a field. The incident happened on Saturday morning in Illinois. An investigation has now been launched. The plane crashed in Trillia, around 200 miles south of Chicago, at around 10:15 a.m. Local authorities said the FAA was on the scene and investigating the crash. All the occupants of the plane, a single-engine Cessna 180, were pronounced dead at the scene. Police said the victims, 2 men and 2 women, were from Wisconsin. Debris was scattered across the roadway, which is expected to be closed for most of the day. The plane reportedly crashed into a set of power lines before bursting into flames. Debris was scattered across the roadway after the explosion. All right. And everybody was pronounced dead at the scene. The aircraft remains in the roadway. All right. And it's an active and ongoing investigation. How did the FAA get there so quickly? That's interesting. So that happened in Illinois. And it looks like it happened pretty much in central Illinois. So there you go. Let's see. I got more comments down here. Oh, hello there. I don't know my two. I don't know who you are. Oh, he does custom art. Don't care. So, all right. 21 people injured after a motorcycle crash in Fort Worth. Fire officials say, yeah, that was a chain reaction motorcycle crash. Let's see what we got here. 21 people are injured after a major crash showing several motorcycles on Friday night. Firefighters said the bikers were riding on Interstate 35 West when one blew a tire, triggering a chain reaction crash. Say 4 people are in critical condition and 7 others also went to the hospital. And there were many more injured. Several of the motorcycles caught on fire as a result of the crash. Yeah, I saw that on social media. Conga, a boat catches fire, leaving 50 dead. That's an old story. Let's see. That's an old story. We've talked about that. We've talked about rain, hail. There was some serious hail over the weekend. Oregon. And then, of course, we talked about the storms. I don't understand the thick fog thing. I still haven't had time to dig into that. Let's see. United States child among 2 dead after flooding as severe weathers lashed the plains. One of the stories that was sent to me that I couldn't cover, apparently on the... I'm trying to think of the name of the river. It borders Pennsylvania, Maryland, and extends down into Virginia. There were some people that were caught on the river, and Maryland State Police had to come in, use their aviation unit to airlift several of them out. They actually went in, repelled, and got them. I think it was Warren County, Virginia is where that occurred. All right. Tornadoes. We kind of talked about that earlier. These are over the weekend. Henry County in Illinois, Warren County in Illinois, Des Moines in Iowa, Arkansas, Faulkner County, Lonoke County in Arkansas, Montana, Chateau. Those are just some of the few. All right, we're going to be running close on time here, so let's move on real quick. All right, we've pretty much covered this. This is heavy rainfall, flooding in Asia. All right, over to west of Laos. I hadn't seen it lit up that brilliantly before. West of Laos, pretty much Central Asia, I guess, is heavy rainfalls. Ecuador, 2 minutes ago, an volcano. Indonesia, 2 minutes ago, the same volcano, another volcano. So, and where was this? Winds north of Kambua, Queensland, 11 minutes ago. Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology has issued a wind warning for significant concentration of populations within the affected area. Strong wind warning for coastal waters on the Queensland Cape Keerweer border. So if you are listening to us from there, you have a wind warning in Australia. We'll zoom out and see if we can see about that. All right, that is for the northern section. Northern Australia, you have a wind warning. And then down off of the Sydney, Newcastle, there's also a wind warning. So be careful in Australia. All right, we covered most of this. Let me zoom in, see if there's anything new down here. No, this is all heavy rains. Talk about the earthquakes. All right, let's move on because I have a few new maps here. Let me refresh this window because this won't have the volcanoes if I don't, because they just occurred. All right, here we go. The most recent earthquake in the Philippines. Whoa, zoom out. Earthquake in the Philippines. Let's see. Tropical cyclone is off the coast of Australia. Flooding in Italy. And they don't have the volcano there yet. All right, well, let's see if this other one does, Wendell. Since it's just 2 minutes ago, they may not. This was doing this earlier, so I don't know if USGS is down or not. Nope, here we go. And it is, let me make sure it's updated. All right. So it says the most recent one was a 2.7 in Ambler, Alaska, but a 4.5 in the Philippines, 4.0 in the Turkeys, 4.5 in Japan, which followed a 4.0. The South Sandwich Islands had a 5.1 and 2.8. Where was that one? That was in Alaska. 2.8 in Alaska. And that's jumping down. Where's the Assisian Island? That's in the central Atlantic. Yeah. And let's see. 4.6 in the Philippines. Let's go over this other one. It shows us more of a graphic. All right. So this shows, Wendell, wondered you're focused on gaming. Apparently, Hazel, you're pretty ignorant. So, because I've not said the first thing about gaming. So, Hazel on Twitch is saying that I'm so focused on gaming. All right. Well, Hazel on Twitch, apparently you're ignorant and can't hear. I have said nothing about gaming. So, there you go. There's my smart ass comment for the day. All right. So if we look at this, this is the current interactive map of volcanoes and recent earthquakes. And as we were talking about with Wendell, the North Pacific in Japan is the most recent one, followed by one in the Philippines and Turkey. But you can zoom. Can you zoom in? No, you can't zoom in, but there you can. I know you can zoom in. Let's say you can move the map around. And nothing in the continental United States. Over in Alaska, there's several volcanoes and earthquakes. Jump down into Australia. Maybe he thinks this is a game. I don't know. And off of the coast of Papua New Guinea, you have several volcanoes. Doesn't appear any are active. And you've had several earthquakes, most of them out to sea. So that tickles me. All right. So you can find this at earthquake.volcanodiscovery.com for the most recent information. All right. I'm going to come back to this because I want to show you guys, because we've only got a few minutes left here. And this is news sites of things going on around the country. And I'm going to come back to this. I want to go over, we'll come back to the New England Fire Net too. Actually, there's really not a lot to report on the New England Fire Net. Boy, it was lit up yesterday. Oh, there is. It was lit up yesterday. A lot of brush fires along the northeastern Atlantic seaboard, and several fires. There's one up in, where's that? Vermont, third alarm, 2 trailer homes are on fire. That was over the weekend. All right. So we'll come back to that if we have time. I'm going to pull this up real quick because this is the live space station map. This is kind of cool. It shows you where the space station currently is. And it is currently just coming into daylight again out over the southern section of Russia. Would that be the southern section? No, that would be the eastern section of Russia, and about to enter in over to the Pacific on the left side of the country. I think that map is pretty cool. You can see where the space station is. And let's see here. Look at real quick. This is the marine activity. This shows all the boats and ships, actually, well, boats and ships in the world in the waterways routes. You can see them made out pretty well there. So we talk about that. This one is new though. All right, guys and gals, we only got a few minutes for Radio X, Jurg's Radio, because David Beckmeyer is going to be coming up for you guys. And we'll continue out here if you want to on the Para R Normal guys. Para R Normal, 3 words, guys with a Z on YouTube. If you want to hear, we're going to be ending our Jurg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, and Radio X here in a few minutes. But we got a few things to cover real quick, and you can catch us over on YouTube. I encourage you to everybody, please come over, like, follow, and share, subscribe. Hazel, come over from Twitch, and you'll see that we don't talk a damn thing about games. So come over and check us out. This is a new map. We can track seals. We can track all kinds of things. These are seals that you can track, and you can click on them. Here's Red, and we can see where Red's been the past couple days. Red's been pretty active. He's been out swimming off of the west coast of San Francisco and hanging out there on some of the little islands. So if we go down south into the Gulf of America, we can track, wait for it, we can track sharks. Yes, these are sharks that have been tagged, and we can track them. This shark is a male by the name of Joseph Hosea, and well, he's been pinging around down in the Gulf of America. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, I know the boat map is pretty intense. Yeah, there's more marine traffic than people realize. But yeah, you can track, this is Joseph, the tiger shark whale. And he was last seen down in the Bay, the Gulf of America off of Lafayette Lake Charles is where he was last seen. So you can zoom in. We can track. I love this. I don't know why this mesmerizes me, but we can track different sharks. This one here, what is this one? This one is a hammerhead shark by the name of Reveille. He's 8 foot, 180 pounds, and he was last seen in the Galveston Bay. So I don't know. This just mesmerized me. Can also track alligators if you're over in Florida. So let's see here. I think this is the alligator. No, this is sea turtles. You can track sea turtles as well. This sea turtle was last seen. Oh, it's been making its way up and down the coast from the Keys to just north of Tampa. And its name is Kate. It's 3 foot 8 inch green sea turtle. So, and you can also track alligators. And these, let's see, where was Audrey? Audrey is an 8 foot 8 inch alligator and was last seen in, where is this? I'm going to guess that this is probably, yeah, the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge, but you can track alligators. I don't know why, that just mesmerized me. Sorry guys, if you're not interested, but yeah, that kind of mesmerized me. You can track sharks, seals, sea turtles, all kinds of interesting creatures on this one. It's oceansearch.org. Occasionally we'll drop in when we have a little extra time and go over it, but it's kind of cool just to see where you can track marine life around the world. Down see in Australia, let's see it, take a quick peek here. Down off of, there's 7 sharks down off of your coast, and let's just pick one. Quang, well, he's a 9 foot 79 inch. Ooh, 9 foot 79 inch. Wow, 75 inch. That's gonna be 79 inch. He's 9 foot long tiger shark, and he was last seen over on your western coast. That's kind of cool that you can see that. So do you see a shark in freshwater? No, but there was a shark reported in a pool in Florida to local police departments. I did see that over the weekend. All right, so we have that. What else we got here? This is another cool map. There's a lot of data on this map. It's currently, let's take off of let's take the beams off. Let's take the instruments off. This is a view from space of Earth, but it's back far enough. And this is in Platforms, Leo Labs visualizations. You can see the satellites in space. That's kind of cool. And let me, before I get into trouble here, let me go over to Rainbow Radio, Yerg's Radio, and Radio X. And we will close out with you for the day, encouraging you to come over and like, follow, share, and subscribe the Paranormal Guys with a Z over on YouTube, and come over here and listen to the last few minutes of us. You can join Wendell, Chris, and everyone else in the chat and have a good time. Everybody have a good day in Australia. It's good morning to most of you. And everybody, Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, thank you for tuning in and allowing me to tickle your ears with useless knowledge for the day. Up next, David Breckmeyer. And with that, I say goodbye to them. All right, so we are clear on Rainbow Radio, Radio X for David Breckmeyer so he can start his show, which starts now. And Chris says, oh, show on screen there, the red circles look like we had a Death Star around us. Yeah, what those were showing. All right, so let me get back to this. If you're listening, well, if you're watching now, this is Earth pulled back, and all those little teeny tiny dots, that is satellites. And the red was showing the parts of the country that they were sending signals to. And if you turn on the beams, you will see actual beams coming from the satellites when they transmit from space back to Earth. But yes, this is an interactive map. And there's so much data on this. I just don't understand how you can pull one particular thing. You would almost have to just follow one satellite. And then if you want to really get a shocker, let's see here. Where is it? We turn on space debris. This should scare the hell out of all of us as humans. When I click this, look at all the junk in space. Look at that. That is crazy. I mean, we're almost entirely covered as a planet in junk. And what was his name? The one that did the fake launch with the ladies. Well, fake, if it could be real, it could be fake. I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot of research. But didn't they say that their purpose was to put more trash in space? Why? Look at what's already up there. All that purple is debris, is trash in space. Look at what we're doing to our not just our planet. Look at what we're doing to our galaxy. But yeah, so all those are little tiny satellites. You can zoom in, you can pinpoint each one and get data from each one. I'm not going to. I just wanted to show, and we'll check in here from time to time. I just wanted to show, wow, how much stuff is really up there. When you look up there and you think, man, there might be something out there. Well, chances are if you look up, you can see something, and it's pretty crazy. So, and if you look at this long enough, you see a pattern as they move around. Like if you notice here on the United States, and remember, from that high up, they have a pretty good view of what they can see and hear. And we see that it starts down off the Baja and goes up right across DC and out pretty much over Boston. So if you look at that trail, that's probably communication satellites, either for us, good guys, or for bad guys. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let's see. I'll show you Wendell. I'll show you this. I looked at this yesterday. Man, the amount of balloons that were up, it was almost as colorful as the marine traffic. I mean, it was crazy. So we'll look here at one in the south. This one took off. Where did this take off from? It took off from the Bankhead National Forest. This is probably a government one. And it's currently up in over Huntsville. And it is currently at an altitude of 915 feet, so it's descending, but its maximum altitude was 76,000 feet. So there's that one. And let's see what else we got. Let's see where this one is, up over Baltimore, Philadelphia. This one was actually launched at the Morgan State University in Maryland, and is currently, it's went out over the Aberdeen Proving Ground, and it's currently kind of floating around off of the Delmarva region there, going up towards the Outer Banks in the northeast. How do we launch? That's, Wendell, that's a very good question. How do we launch anything into space without hitting something? I mean, I know we were zoomed out, and that's a really small map for a large area, but I agree. How do you launch something without hitting something? I mean, that's crazy. So, all right. So this balloon was launched from the Southern Great Plains. It doesn't really say where. I'm gonna maybe a college campus. I don't know. And it is currently at 5,357 feet.
and it had a maximum altitude of 87,864. These could be weather balloons. These could be amateur radio balloons. These could be balloons put out by our government. You never know. Like, for instance, this one comes out of the Yuma test range. It's currently, actually, it and its twin are currently out floating at an altitude of 4,668 feet, but it was maximum all-time altitude, almost 70,000. From that high up, you can get a lot of signals. I'm just throwing that out there. There's two of them launched from there. The other one is currently at 10,000. Nope, I'm sorry. It's at 4,425 feet. It only made it to 67,000 feet. But at that altitude, you can get a lot of stuff. There's stuff going on right down here in this section of the country. So who knows what kind of signals they're getting? All kinds of stuff. We look real quick because I don't want to keep you guys and gals. Nothing major, significant. They call it meteorological events. Pretty much just turbulence across the section of the country we talked about, from up around Toronto, Buffalo, down into the Gulf of America. You can expect a little turbulence. Wendell, they do have this zoned off for space operations off of Cape Canaveral. I don't know if they launched today, but they're expecting to launch. I believe it's a SpaceX refuel. There's some security ones further up that they have to seal the area off. I don't know why. That's a Jacksonville coast. And we talked about last week, they've lifted all of the things out on the Atlantic side of Florida and in the Gulf of America. So there have been some things going on there, and I often wondered if there was some type of craft we were watching. We see the typical ones around Washington, D.C. I'm sorry, that's not Washington. That's Washington, D.C. This is, where is this? This is Charleston. And it's a special operating area off of Cherry Point, South Carolina, Charleston, I guess. And then, of course, we have down in Mar-a-Lago where the president's residence is. That's a special secure area. And some type of hazards down here along near the Keys. Wonder what that's about. Let's see if it'll tell us anything. Beginning provided. Oh, for firefighting. Okay, so that's for firefighting. All right. Very good. And let's see. That's about it for Sky Vector. We'll scan up. Let's see if there's any space operations going on in Alaska. They always kind of slip out. Security up here. It doesn't really say why. We'll see if it'll give us a reason. Temporary flight restrictions for special security reasons. They don't say why. But up in Alaska. All right. And zoom out. There's no space off of the West Coast. Is that right there? Security, special security. Oh, that's probably the test range down at Yuma. Since it's that shape, I'm going to guess that's probably for flight restrictions, special security in New Mexico. So something's going to be traveling laterally across New Mexico. All right. Just keep that in your eyes and ears. All right. So that's pretty much it, unless you have something else for me to look at. Chris says, when you only have a balloon with an 87,000 feet possibility hanging at 5,000, you aren't getting a good return on your investment. More government overspending. Well, it depends what they wanted to pick up while they were down there. Oh, wait a minute. What is this one? Is this down off of Puerto Rico to provide safe environments for ordnance disposal? Okay, that's down off of San Juan for ordnance disposal. Special security for most of Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. So now you know. I was thinking that was down off of Guantanamo Bay. They had a flight restriction. And I don't see anything else besides for the meteorological events in the world. All right. We'll wrap it up here with you guys. I don't think this is the FAA's map. Don't see anything too new down in Texas and New Mexico. Let's see. Restriction airspace and for some type of experiment. Okay. It doesn't really say why. All right. So that's down along the Texas-Mexico border of La Crucia. So some kind of special testing. All right. Don't know why, but it's going on down there. And then we see the same thing off of Titusville with space operations. And this is a new map I wanted to show you guys and gals. This is a live bird migration map. It's updated. I think it's updated every 20 minutes or something like that. And it shows you the bird migration. And apparently at some point in time over the night, there was a migration of almost 200 million, well, over 200 million birds were in flight at one point in time, coming from the south, going to the north. And I did not know that we had a map for bird migration, but there you go. The yellow line is the daylight sunset line going across the continental United States. But that is a bird migration map. I did not know that was a thing. I thought that was pretty cool. So there you go. One point in time, 200 million birds were aloft coming from the south going north. Man, you just don't, between the balloons, the birds, the space junk, you never know what's above your head. This is a new one I found. I kind of like this one. It's not as in real time, but it's more precise with a live cyber threat map. And it's showing, usually we see a lot of stuff coming inbounds to the U.S. Well, it's showing that we're sending some stuff out. We're hammering Brazil right now. Why would we be hammering Brazil? That's all. Man, we are really hammering Brazil, India. They got their own little thing going on up there. Germany, Ireland, Russia. There we go. We're hitting Nepal. Germany's hitting Israel. Yeah, well, all these are, the red is malware, purple is phishing, and yellow is exploiting. And I don't know what they mean by exploiting, but I'm assuming that they're trying to target things in the top targeted industries of the day are education, government, and telecommunications. So the top malware is mobile phishing and worms. And top targeted countries, Nepal, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Morocco. It's usually us. But yeah, we're pounding some people. Let's go over to the other one because I think it's more in real time and it's a bit faster and it shows what's going on. Bitdefender, and we can see, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Well, yeah, that one didn't show, but we're getting fired on too, and we're firing back. We are pounding Brazil for some reason. Chris says he's sending poo to Andy right now. But yeah, that's our Bitdefender map for the day. You can see looks like Asia is pounding the United States, and it looks like maybe Russia is sending signals to the United States. And the red on this is attack, infections is yellow, and white is spam. And the last map of the day, get minimized. The last map of the day, and I'll let y'all go. This is the global air traffic, and this is overhead. Wendell, your question is about hitting something in space. How in the heck do you not hit something in non-space? I mean, just looking at the continental United States, how many flights are up right now at one point in time? This comes to us from airplanes.live. I like to take it out and let's just see what the military is doing and zoom in. And you can see, let's see, lots of military's movements from the west to the east to the west. And I was going to see if we can catch a refueler up. That's an air tanker, but it's taking a precarious route. All right. And more Globemaster. But yeah, Wendell down around you. There's not a whole lot. There's that's a little Jayhawk Beechcraft down there. And what is this one? It's another. These are probably moving dignitaries around, probably high-ranking military officers. A C-30 out over Tuscaloosa. We got an Atlanta. Got we don't see this one too often. This is an old plane. Tex 2. That's old war plane. That's probably either a trainer or maybe somebody that's doing special flights for the veterans. And there's looks like he's coming out of Where's he coming out of? He's coming out of North Carolina, probably Fort Bragg. So he's transporting something across the country. And let's see. All right, here's probably an air refueler. This is off the coast of Charleston. So somewhere in this area, there's probably, well, somewhere in a broader area than that, there's probably 30 fighters that he's refueling. So let's see what this is off the coast here. No call sign. It's a Boeing KC-46A Pegasus. All right. But there is your military aircraft. I'm not going to be like some of the sites that say, hey, look, here's a, the death plane is up, or the doomsday plane. Actually, I think, is that the doomsday plane there? Yep. Joint Chiefs. That's one of the ones out of Omaha. That's the nuke detector. And yeah, that's a nuke detector right there. And while we have one up, oh, we have two up. All right, so there's two nuke detectors up over. Well, I've theorized that some of the people that came into our country may be in these mountains because that's the type of countryside they have in their area where they came from. Just think about that for a moment. So I'll let that sink in. They're here, but we don't know where they're at. So they're in the mountains. All right, guys and gals, I'm going to let you go. I've held you over a few extra minutes. Unless we have some questions, comments, or queries, I'm going to let you guys get out of here, and we'll get show on screen. Yes, show me. Oh, I got to hide on stream. Ooh, duh. All right, so we will be back tonight at 8 o'clock. We will have the girls, Cheyenne and Amanda, with the Monday Night Horror. And then you can catch me tomorrow here from 1 till 3 doing this. Or if you want to hear me just playing some music from noon until 2 on the Thin Line Rock Station, www.thethinlinerockstation.com. You can catch me over there playing some music. So I'll be doing that as well. But until tomorrow, I'm going to sign out of here. Wendell, Chris, everybody that was in the chat, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to hit that thumbs up button. Remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell so when I play this wonky music, you know to come over and check us out. Everybody have a great day. I'll see most of you tonight. I know everybody's going to be over and see my girls tonight. So I'll see most of you tonight for their show. Until then, everybody have a great day. I'll catch y'all soon. Till then, Sportcat is out.